everyone. I'm Kevin Ellison. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from the Vatican. Shortly after noon on January 12th, after praying the Angelus, Pope Francis announced the names of 19 new cardinals, including the Archbishops of Westminster and Quebec, and 6 men from his home region of Latin America. Rome Reports has more on some of the newest members of the college and Pope Francis's letter to them.
On the same day he announced their names, Pope Francis wrote to the 19 prelates he chose to become members of the College of Cardinals. In the letter, the Pope said becoming a cardinal is not a promotion, but rather an expansion of their vision in service to God. He asked that if they celebrate, to do it with, quote, austerity and poverty, as well as joy. The consistory to welcome the 19 new cardinals will take place on February 22nd. They come from 12 countries, but the majority are from the Third World. Even so, there are many surprises among the list. First, only 16 of them will be under 80. The other 3 from Italy, Spain, and St. Lucia will be recognized for their contributions to the Church. But even with the 16 new cardinals, the number of papal electors will remain 120 by May. The Americas dominate the list. They include the archbishops of major cities not already holding the title: Quebec, Managua, Santiago de Chile, Rio de Janeiro, and Buenos Aires. Most notably, however, is the inclusion of Monsignor Chibli Langlois, the Bishop of Les Cayes. On February 22nd, he will become Haiti's first cardinal. Overall, the number of papal electors from Latin America will rise to 19. Asia and Africa will each get 2 new cardinals. South Korea will get its second one ever with Monsignor Andrew Yeom Soo-jung, Archbishop of Seoul. The country boasts the highest rate of conversion to Catholicism. He'll be joined by the Archbishop of Cotabato, an area in the southern Philippines hit by violence by a Muslim separatist group.
The consistory for their formal induction into the College of Cardinals will be held on February 22nd. More news now from the Vatican. Pope Francis once again has shown his support of public breastfeeding during a mass in which he baptized 32 babies on the Feast of the Baptism of the Lord. Pope Francis said mothers should breastfeed their babies if they are hungry, even during a papal mass in the Sistine Chapel. In December, the Pope told an Italian newspaper that in a world where so many children go hungry, people must help them eat. He used the example of a young woman at a general audience who was afraid to breastfeed in public while the Pope drove by. The Pope told her he believed the baby was hungry and that she should feed the baby. In his homily during the baptism, the Pope told the parents and godparents the faith was the most beautiful inheritance they will leave their children and that they had the duty to hand down the faith. In news now from around the country, a chemical spill in Charleston, West Virginia has left 300,000 people with little or no access to water. The disaster occurred when a chemical used in the coal preparation process leaked from a tank at a Freedom Industries facility into the Elk River, which flows into the Kanawha River through Charleston. In a televised mass at the Cathedral of St. Joseph in Wheeling, Bishop Michael Bransfield of Wheeling, Charleston, asked the state's Catholics to join him in praying for those affected by the spill. A ban on using tap water was issued January 9th, and the following day, President Obama signed the emergency declaration making federal disaster assistance available to West Virginia to supplement state and local response efforts in 9 counties. Fire stations are offering free water to people and water lines are being flushed. And though the chemical is not deadly, it can cause nausea, vomiting, and skin and eye irritations, among other complications. We go back to the Vatican now. In his first annual address to the Vatican Diplomatic Corps on January 13th, Pope Francis continued his focus on what he has called a throwaway culture. Rome Reports has more.
As he addressed ambassadors to the Vatican, Pope Francis laid out the issues he wants to highlight on an international scale. First on the list was the family, but he also took time to speak out against unemployment, hunger, and the throwaway culture, where he specifically cited abortion.
Desta orrore il solo pensiero che vi siano bambini che non potranno mai vedere la luce vittime dell'aborto, o quelli che vengono utilizzati come soldati, violentati o uccisi nei conflitti armati o fatti oggetti di mercato in quella tremenda forma di schiavitù moderna che è la tratta degli esseri umani, la quale è un delitto contra l'umanità.
The Pope said he's also concerned about divided families and the tough living conditions many of them are forced to live in without the means to improve their conditions.
And finally in the news, the U.S. Catholic bishops for the second year in a row are sponsoring a novena for life. The novena, entitled 9 Days for Life, Prayer, Penance, and Pilgrimage, is taking place from January 18th through the 26th. It's one of several events marking the 41st anniversary of the Roe v. Wade decision legalizing abortion in the U.S. For more information on how you can participate, go to 9daysforlife.com. On January 22nd, the anniversary of the 1973 Roe decision, thousands of pro-lifers will be descending upon the National Mall in Washington for the annual March for Life. This year's theme will be adoption. On the eve of the annual march, a mass will be celebrated in the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. Cardinal Sean O'Malley, chairman of the Bishops' Committee on Pro-Life Activities, will be the principal celebrant and homilist. A vigil will also be held overnight in the shrine's crypt church. Across the country, 3 days after the Washington events, more than 50,000 people are expected to gather for the 10th annual Walk for Life West Coast. Well, that is all the information we have for you this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV Network.